And Dr. Caplan will deliver the last rebuttal.
I feel kind of terrible. I've ruined John's evening. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry he's disappointed. Jill and I tried, and I'm sorry we couldn't satisfy him. We actually have a different way of looking at it, John Ridpath. We actually think that your words are not all that counts, John Ridpath. We actually think you can test most of your words in practice, and they don't come out as well. So don't tell us that we're not dealing with the issue. The issue is what happens with words when they get applied to people. And the mythology is universal of what you promise, but the reality is the opposite. And don't tell us that you're not associated with the moral majority, you're not associated with Bill Buckley. You are part of a crowd that talks about individual enterprise. You talk about laissez-faire. You talk about unregulated capitalism. And so does this large group, and they have important things in common. One of the things they have in common, as you say, and all of them say, it comes down from us, from Max Weber to Friedrich Hayek, his book, The Road to Serfdom, that any state regulation leads ipso facto to the regulation of human beings, to an absence of freedom. Good, clap, that's what it says. But the reality happens not to be that. The reality happens to be that the most prosperous, that the happiest, that the most generous period in human history has been in Western Europe, in North America, in the 25 or 30 years since the Second World War, precisely because the state introduced social services which made more people's lives more decent, more livable than they'd ever been before. And that's... You dare denounce us for the evasions and the falsehoods. You talk about socialist governments that rule with a gun. I take it you mean British Columbia. I take it you mean Howard Pauley in Manitoba. I take it you mean the British Labour Party and the German Social Democratic Party and the Swedish Social Democratic Party, all of which, as you know, came to power by force, have remained in power by the gun, and have oppressed and enslaved their citizens. Well, forgive me. I'm not ashamed of it even with this audience tonight. It's the greatest contribution socialism has made to this society. We moved the parameters of the debate to the left. So people who before the war talked about capitalism in this way no longer can afford to do it. The issue became not whether there ought to be a welfare state, but what the size of it was going to be. We won that major way of accepting that state's responsibility for taking care of those who, for no fault of their own, couldn't hack it. We're underprivileged. We're handicapped. Couldn't make it. And we forced people to say that was the state's responsibility because the state alone could handle it. That's how it happened. And what's so terrible about what's happening today, what's so terrible about what's happening in the United States and in a tiny way here and with Margaret Thatcher, is that these people are moving the debate back to the right where you can speak the unspeakable. Where John Ridpath on a TV program can say that it is coercion, it is enslavement, it is force for the government of Canada to provide welfare assistance for pregnant teenage kids or don't you ho me, I have the notes here, I have the tape here, and I will play it for you. He believes that. He said it tonight. And hold on, he acknowledged that. So please don't laugh at me. Now it's really an easy decision. It's really a quite easy decision. You talk about free enterprise, and you talk about laissez-faire, you talk about rights of property, and what you do everywhere in the world in the event is you oppress and you take the side of the privileged and the wealthy and the predator against the side of the wretched and the destitute and the vulnerable, and you take the perpetrators and you turn them into the innocent victims, and you take the victims and you claim that they are somehow the enemy. And you do it time and time again. You introduce a simple division between whether you're going to be mean about how the world runs or caring, and I think it's an easy answer.